Jeff Davis, and you are here at the Davis Group in our agent training. Today, this is agent training number 7. The focus: should you work with sellers or buyers? Now, as we've said before, and we'll continue to say, the traditional real estate office is focusing on these two components. You're either working with sellers that want to sell their house, or you're working with buyers that want to buy a house. And what you'll find as you continue in this business is that you're probably going to prefer to work one or the other. That doesn't mean you won't work both, but you'll find that you probably want to work or will work one or the other. Now, let's start with the listing agent. And I believe that listings, again, control the marketplace, because the more listings you have, the more people have to come to you to buy the properties that you have for sale. So if you list right and market right, you will bring business to you automatically. So here, if you're going to be a listing agent, your primary focus is setting listing appointments to meet with homeowners. So you have to make sure that all of your prospecting activities will get you to the place where you can set the appointment to meet with the homeowner. And you're going to go to their house. So you want to make sure that you go during the day, the first time you see it. Try to get there before it gets too late, if at all possible. Now, sometimes you might have listing appointments at 7:30 at night, unavoidable. It's dark, still fine, but it's going to add an extra step. Because you have to see the outside and the inside of the house. You can see the inside of the house day or night, but you don't get a good picture of the outside until it's daylight. So as a listing agent, if possible, you want to set the appointment at a time where you can go out there and see the house and then go see the inside, or see the outside, then see the inside. But if not, you focus on the inside. Once you become very good at setting the appointments, you have to become even better at giving a presentation. Your listing presentation must be precise, concise. It must answer questions. It must outline what you're going to do to sell their house and how much it's going to cost them. Now, we work with you to help you to put together a great listing presentation. And again, as a salesperson, this becomes your bread and butter. Remember that there are a lot of other agents out there that will be going for the same business that you're going for. So you want to make sure that your listing presentation sets you apart. And the one thing that you bring to the table that no other agent brings is yourself. So you want to be able to show people why working with you is the best decision, that you're going to stay in touch with them, because most agents do not stay in touch with their listing homeowners once they get the listing. You're going to show them that you have looked at their property and you have told them some things, some suggestions they can do to help it sell faster. One of the things that I do is I go in there, and many times I go in with my wife. She has the interior design background. But you look for things to help people to see what they can do to sell their house for the price they want. Now, if a person wants to sell their house as is and they don't want to do any work, you can do that. But you have to let them know what that means. That may mean that people are going to expect you to take a discount because they're going to have to do stuff. But there are usually simple things that we can do. Areas that we can make sure are clean. For example, you have to make sure you have a clean bathroom. You got to make sure you got a clean kitchen, because kitchens and baths sell houses. You want to make sure that the house doesn't look cluttered. Do everything you can to help sellers to see that things that could go in the garage instead of in the living room should be in the garage. Because when people come into a house, they're basically trying to see if they could live there. And so the less distractions they have, the better. Now, a lot of times you go into houses that people have family pictures and they have different things that, they've lived in their house. You're not asking them to get rid of that. But you don't want the house to look junky. You don't want it to look crowded. You don't want it to look cluttered. So you want to help people to be able to declutter their house and make it presentable. It's a marketing thing. Now, are sellers going to have objections? Almost 100% of the time, there'll always be some objections to something. They're either going to object to what you're suggesting, or they're going to object to your price. They're going to object to the way you're doing things, or they're going to try to tell you how to do it. This is why you have to have a marketing plan in your listing presentation. You have to let them know that when you list your house with us, these are the things that you can expect us to do. Now, people may come and make a bunch of suggestions of what they want. Like if they say, well, I want an open house every week. Well, we don't do an open house every week. Why? Why not? I mean, open houses sell houses. No, open houses don't sell houses. What open houses do is give the realtor a chance to expose the house to potential buyers so that you can get buyers that'll ultimately buy a house. But most people don't buy open houses. They come to open houses to look. They come to see what's available. They come to see what's on the market. And if they really like your house, they will move forward and make an offer. So you don't want a seller telling you how to do your business. You are the expert. And as the expert, you tell the seller how things will be done. You take every suggestion into consideration, but you don't commit to doing every suggestion. So again, if someone said they want an open house every week, the reason you don't do that is because ultimately it's going to take you away from other things you could be doing to help move this house. Effective marketing is the key, and understanding how buyers buy. Buyers buy because we have a for sale sign in the front. So that is something that should be non-negotiable. People that say they don't want folks to know their house is on the market for sale, I'm not trying to sell their house. Because there are people that drive by here every day, and there are some people, like when I was looking for my first house, we just drove the neighborhood. And we saw the for sale sign, and we inquired and called the realtor and went and saw the house and ultimately made an offer. That's typically how people buy. They see it and then they inquire. So having a house, a for sale sign is important. Of course, you're going to give them online marketing. You're going to put it in the MLS. The MLS is a great tool for helping to sell houses because that's where the realtors go. But you're also going to have it on things like Zillow and Realtor.com, Redfin. There are different online marketplaces where people go. Most buyers now, when they're looking for a house, they go online first to start their search. So, what does all this have to do with being a listing agent? If you're going to be a listing agent, you have to learn how to be a listing agent. And there's plenty of training that's available to help you to master it. But if it's something that you really want to do, then it is something that is possible. Because as a listing agent, what you'll find is you'll spend the majority of your time setting appointments and going and see houses, implementing your marketing plan, and then you can move on to the next house. You keep track of what's going on with the ones you have listed, but you don't have to babysit them. Ultimately, they will sell. If they're priced right, they will sell. Now, you might also decide you want to be a selling agent. Selling agents work with buyers. Now, it's much different working with a buyer than it is with a seller. Because number one, the first thing you have to do with a buyer is you have to educate them on the buying process. Even if they bought a house before, they need to know what things are like now. So number one, you don't show houses to anybody that hasn't been pre-qualified. Don't waste your time just showing houses to people. The only time you show a house to someone who has not been pre-qualified is at an open house. Then you show it to whoever shows up. But if it's not an open house, you let people know. Number one, when you work with me, I need to have you pre-qualified because I need to know, number one, how much you qualify for. So I'm not wasting time showing you houses that are outside of your price range. Number two, when we find that house and you've been pre-qualified, we can make an offer almost immediately. Because you may walk into a house and say, oh my God, I want this house. Then we need to move fast. Because if you take your time and from there have to go get pre-qualified, someone else could buy the house and your dream house could be gone. So we want to make sure we get you pre-qualified. I find out how much you can buy, and we are able to make an offer quickly. The third thing in getting pre-qualified is that it helps you to know how much this is going to cost you. If you find a house in this price range, be expected to spend this much money to get it. You need to have all that information so that you are an educated buyer. Now, after you've got them pre-qualified, it's time to start showing houses. My personal belief is I don't want to show you 50 houses, 100 houses. I really would like to show you 3. and have it where you can make a decision. But in order to do that, you have to help people, first of all, identify what they're looking for. If someone says, I want 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, which is pretty common, I want an open concept, I want a garage, etc., you help them to put together the type of house they're looking for, and then you help to narrow down the area they want the house to be in. Now, why is that? Because if you know the type of house you're looking for and you know the area you want to be in, once you go online to begin your search, you will narrow down the houses that are currently on the market available that meet that criteria. And that's exactly what you want. You want to be able to say, hey, in this 1 mile radius here, we have found houses in the area that you want to be in. They're the type that you want. This is what's currently on the market. So take a look at, what they have, what's listed on, online, and then let me know your top 3 choices. Now, other homework sometimes I've given to buyers is you might want to also write the area. If you're thinking of moving there, now we know the area, we know the house that you're looking for. Write the area, make sure that this is where you want to be. If by chance you come across a house that is not on the list or not listed, let's say, in the internet, but maybe there's a sign up front, or maybe even it's a for sale by owner, just take the information and give it to me. I will reach out to them. I will let them know that we have someone that's interested in buying and see if we can go see it, and possibly it might be your dream house. So you want the buyer to understand that you're the expert here. You know what you're doing. You know what's going on in the market. You know how to go after looking for houses. You are the expert. Once you find that house, they like that house, you get that contract written and get it presented as soon as possible. Once it's accepted, you give it to the TC and you monitor. They're going to do most of the grunt work, the hard things. Your job is only to make sure that things are moving along, and make sure when you're working with buyers, you stay in touch with your buyers. I would suggest that you're going to try to close the deal in 30 days. They've been pre-qualified, so the goal is 30 days. So talk to them at least once a week. Reach out to them, talk to them, ask them how they're doing, ask them how things are going. Stay in touch. Don't become a secret agent. Be an agent that is out there and exposed to the world. Now, you got to work with a lot of components here. And again, that's where the TC comes in. You've got lenders and escrow companies and title companies. You've got inspections that have to be done. And a lot of times when the inspections are done, you as an agent have got to be there. So you have to like to drive and to travel if you're going to work with buyers. You're going to be meeting them at houses to show them. You're going to be going to the house to make a presentation to the seller and the selling agent. You're going to be visiting with the inspectors. You're going to be doing the final inspection with the buyer prior to closing. There's a lot of components here, but we're here to help you so that you know how to stay on track and to move things along. Now, there are times when you will be on both sides of the transaction. You've got the listing and you've got a buyer that's interested. My personal opinion, which is probably the way we're going to do it here as a company, is that if you're the listing agent, don't be the selling agent. And if you're working with a buyer and you come up on a FSBO, let's say a for sale by owner, don't be the listing and the selling agent. Why? Because dual agency splits your loyalty. And I know that some people don't agree with this concept, but I believe that you can represent the seller or the buyer, but not both. And the reason is very simple. The seller is trying to get as much money as they can for the house. The buyer is trying to buy the house for as least amount of money as they can. They're trying to save money. Seller's trying to make it, buyer's trying to save it. And if you're the dual agent, where does your loyalty lie? You got to pick a side. So typically what happens in those situations is that if it's one of the listings that we have that you're selling, then you take the buyer's side and you represent the buyer exclusively. And then the listing agent, of course, will represent the seller. If, for example, you came across a FSBO where ultimately it's going to be done, then one of us will list it. and you will earn a referral fee. So you'll get the buyer's fee and a referral fee for the FSBO if you found the seller outside of the normal listing channels. Because again, your loyalty is important. And as long as you represent a side, you can defend them. We see this in legal terms all the time. You have the plaintiff and the defendant. They each have their own lawyer. And a good lawyer defends their client. As a realtor, you want to defend your client, which means you have to identify, who am I working for? And then you give them 110% of your devotion. Now, whether you want to be a listing agent or a selling agent, there's plenty of training and stuff that, again, that's going to be made available to help you to excel in that. But I just want you to think about where your focus is going to be, because ultimately you should decide to move in one or the other direction so that you can become the expert that we all know you're capable of becoming.